Hello everybody, my name is Bill. Welcome back to the NCAA Football '07 Dynasty Mode Explanation. We are now getting to finally evaluating the SEC West with the Auburn Tigers, the SEC champions, Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi State, LSU, and Ole Miss. And after this, we will do the Sun Belt and then the WAC. I'm currently working on the Sun Belt script right now. So it's these 8 teams and then the 9 teams of the WAC, and then after that I'm gonna live stream recruiting so that way you can see what kind of goes through when I'm doing the recruiting. But anyways, I'm gonna start off with Auburn, the best team in this division. They went 13-1. Their best win came in week 7 against number 9 Arkansas, 24-17, and their only loss was in the Sugar Bowl to Oklahoma, where they got destroyed 45-6. They got great defense, they're efficient, and they force turnovers. They just mainly need to improve on their discipline. Auburn had an amazing season, 13-1, SEC champions, and a Sugar Bowl appearance against Oklahoma. At 258.2 yards per game, 117 of them through the air, and 14.2 points per game. Allowing 258.2 yards per game, 117 of them through the air, and 14.2 points per game. They were well deserved to the number 5 ranking they got at the end of the year. Here, 42 sacks, 25 interceptions, and 12 forced fumbles recovered makes their defense one to be feared with. And at 195.7 rushing yards per game, this team is willing to pound you into the ground as well. And they were also one of the more efficient teams, as they just one more there. Yeah, they were first and third down conversions, first and third down attempts. Well, they were third best for third down percentage, tied for fifth best on fourth down percentage. 2-point percentage I'm not counting into this because that's just a choice of going for 2 or not. Seeing how they were never really down, they never really went for 2. But like I said, they need to calm down on the penalties though. They had 100 of them for 838 yards, which is the worst in the conference, and also nearly all the nation on yards. They calm down on that, and they maybe have better chance of winning the Sugar Bowl next year. Now we're going to go from Auburn to Arkansas, who finished 11-2. Who, if the game was just not decided to freeze on the players of the week. Yeah, excuse me right there. The old burping thing's come back again in another video. Arkansas went 11-2. Their best win came the week after their loss to Auburn against Florida, 38-35. And their worst loss was, like I said, at Auburn, 24-17. They got great offense, great defense, and they're good at not turning the ball over. And honestly, looking through, I did not see one thing they needed to improve on. Some things were like mediocre. I mean, they had the least third down attempts in the conference, which is something that you could easily brag about because it's like, hey, we didn't have to go on all 3 downs. We could just easily beat you by doing 2 downs, if that. The Razorbacks are one of the best teams I've seen. They had the fewest third down attempts and the best offense at 572.1 total yards per game, 448.7 yards per game that they earned with the actual offense on the field. The other 100 some were off of kick and punt returns, and 263.7 rushing yards per game. They had a very good defense at 279.1 yards per game, with allowing 279.1 yards per game, with only allowing 99 yards per game off the ground, and allowing 17.5 points per game. They are on probation, which means they won't be able to get as many recruits, but they should be able to get a few more people to help get them in contention for an SEC title next year. And now, yes, Arkansas is ranked, but yet Alabama isn't. Their record is 6-7, with their best win being in Week 11 against Mississippi State 35-25, the week after they lost to McNair Central 252 to nothing. And their worst loss, I say, is what killed whatever momentum they had for the beginning of the year against Northern Illinois 20-13. Now they were great at red zone scoring, but they don't need to face McNair Central because, trust me, a lot of their stats were bad because of that. I mean, heck, they allowed 566 points, and odds are like half of those came against McNair Central. Then with the LSU game, they allowed like 224 points. I think actually, yeah, 224 points for LSU. I actually have that as their worst loss. But we'll get to LSU in a minute. And also to gain confidence in the season opener, because I guess that's what caused them to be not as good as they normally are. Alabama isn't in the form everyone knows them today. They lost to Northern Illinois, which most likely had them lose momentum for the entire season. At 6-7, they are not looking good going into next season, but they also led the SEC in red zone scoring at 82%. They need to hope that some recruits come to the Crimson Tide and be dominant for years to come. Then, instead of having to face McNair Central in a regular season matchup, they'll face them in the national championship, which won't be as fun, but hey, well, at least fun for Alabama. But fun for me because, hey, I'll meet them in there. Mississippi State is next on the board. The Bulldogs finished the year 5-7 with their best win coming in Week 13 against the good old rival of Ole Miss, 38-35 in the Egg Bowl. And their worst loss, I say, came in Week 8 against 5th-ranked Auburn, 21-14. Now, they were great on fourth down percentage, but they need to improve on offense. The Bulldogs really need help with producing yards. They had 431.8 total yards per game, and also had only 152.9 passing yards per game. They only had 22.5 points per game, which was the worst in the conference, which is kind of saying something considering how everybody else in the conference has a lot more points. I mean, heck, even Vanderbilt, who only won one conference game, had 288 total points for the year. Ole Miss, excuse me there. Ole Miss had a field goal better than them. They need help on defense as well, with 407.2 yards per game. They had a surprisingly good record at 5-7 with their stats, and they will hopefully get better and finish above 500 next year, because I was looking through this team, and like I said, their best stats were in the fourth down percentage. If it's going to be, nope, okay. Yeah, fourth down percentage, which I was looking for something to be positive about, because you see, turnovers mediocre, but yeah, first and fourth down percentage, 7 and 9, which, you know, not all that impressive when it comes to like numbers. But yeah, you see a lot of mediocrity here for Mississippi State, and that offense. All granted, they got 9 field goals in the red zone, so at least they're getting points. But now, I kind of talked about them a little bit earlier. We're going to now talk about LSU, and they went 6-6. With their best win being in Week 12 against Alabama, 38-14. And their worst loss was with the week before that against McNair Central, 224 to nothing. As to the last game, they lost to Arkansas. Excuse me. Boy, recording this episode at midnight, not good when you're feeling a little tired. They got them bragging rights over Alabama because their stats were just atrocious. Again, for McNair Central, which I put as an improvement not to face next year. LSU looked like a good team for McNair Central to face this year, but they sadly finished 500. At least they have bragging rights over Alabama in the rivalry, but they don't have that against Georgia. They are in a tough conference and they need some recruits, otherwise they'll be down at the bottom of the conference and will be in a tough spot. Although I do say they are a well-known team, which should be helpful for them recruiting. If they don't get good recruits, they won't be in good shape for next year, and they probably will be right where Ole Miss is at, sitting right at the bottom. Technically, these three teams stand for the bottom of the West, but overall conference-wise, them with South Carolina all tied for 6th in the conference in total. But yeah, Ole Miss went 4-8. Their best win was an upset one against Florida back in Week 6, 21-14. And their worst loss was at Alabama, 59-24. They had a decent line and decent defense. They just need to do better on forcing turnovers, getting offense, passing touchdowns, red zones. They need a lot of help. Ole Miss is a team with a lot of room for improvement. They need offense badly. They finished last in the conference in offense with 314.6 yards per game. Last in the conference in passing touchdowns with 19. And last in red zone attempts with 35. They need to improve this offense greatly, and their defense is okay, being average in the conference. The Rebels do need to force more turnovers, though, as they forced a total of 13 turnovers, which, yeah, about a turnover game is not the best way to win football games. They need better red zone defense, as they allowed 55 attempts, the most in the conference. They at least finished third in conference for defensive red zone scoring at 70%, but they should get that down a bit for them to be successful. If not, then they'll stay at the bottom of the conference, and they will not be able to improve at all. Now, like I said, next is the Sun Belt, which has 8 teams, and then the WAC, which has 9 teams. So 17 more teams, and then I will be done with evaluating all these teams, and I do not know if I'm going to be doing this for next season, because this was an idea I just had, yeah, I'm going to do this just for the heck of it. Evaluate all 119 teams. Why not? And then, doing this, I've needed some breaks. I've taken some time off to keep a little bit fresh for me, so that way I'm not totally worn out by it. But yeah, until then, I will see you all next time.